we live?
We are live.
All right. Hi, Jay. Thanks for coming by. And I am changing around a little bit. I'm sitting at my desk. That way I can,
Look
make
at your
sure.
notes.
Yeah, I have a few notes, but I want people to see the environment that I live in, which is
Sure.
a go mode all the time.
Sure.
Folks that want to say they want to see me on weekends, and if you don't think just because you don't see me don't mean I'm not working somewhere. And do I need to work weekends? Okay. One of the things that, well, sometimes, but one of the things you got to remember, if you're working all the time, somebody else ain't doing their jobs.
Right.
And if you're not taking care of yourself,
Right.
then how are you going to take care of others?
Yeah.
I've been in this business almost 30 years now. And before that, I was in the military. And one of the things that I found out is constant is to keep learning, to
Sure.
keep growing, to maintain your mental stability as well as your physical health. And I've been very blessed in being able to do all of those things. So with that said, I sit here and take calls on the street and on the phone, and I take drop-bys. My job is never ending. If you don't think that I work on weekends, ask my wife.
Sure.
And one of the things, Jay, it ain't all about me, because I've been in office almost 2 years, and the only time off I've had really was my wife had her lung transplant,
Right.
and when she was hospitalized for the pneumonia. But other than that, I haven't had a vacation, and I don't have one planned.
Sure. I
So,
think I don't know how many criminals take vacations. So if the big portion of what you do is managing the crime element here. So I mean it makes complete sense. Man, I appreciate you sitting down with us and just kind of chatting out a few things. Obviously, a few things going on here in the county. Kind of the update. I know you put out the update specific to the. I think there was a missing person still.
yeah, we still have a missing person, Mr. Larkin, Josh Larkins, 38 years of age. Came up missing last month, and we have been keeping that in the forefront of the news, as well as actively trying to establish his timeline with the people that he was associated with prior to his coming up missing. But we do have an open investigation of a missing person. Prayers to his family. I know they're going through a lot and everything. Just think, if you have a loved one that's
Sure.
missing and don't know, the status or their whereabouts, how would you feel? It's a very unsettling thought. And I reach out to the public and saying, if you know anything about Mr. Larkin's whereabouts or the times that led up to his missing in November, to call us.
So
Call the sheriff's office.
sure.
Don't call someone that you think that's affiliated with the investigation. Sheriff's office is actively running this investigation and everything, and your information to us, and your call will remain anonymous. I've said that many times, and any call that if you call into the sheriff's office and you want this to remain anonymous, all you have to do is say so.
Yeah.
You can reach out to Crime Stoppers.
Right.
You can contact Crime Stoppers and everything, and they will get the information to us.
Sure.
So I just ask the general public to do your part if you know anything.
Yeah.
That's a decent thing to do.
Does it seem like there's more and more people going missing? I mean, it just. I mean, granted, back in the day, years ago, like my great grandfather's days, you could move about 20 miles and create a whole nother family. I don't see that happening. I don't see that happening with social media. It almost seems like, a lot of the trafficking stuff may be involved on some level. A lot of the just maybe kind of underground world stuff is involved. It just seems it's like the young lady who went missing well over a year ago over in Jasper County. It just seems like there's people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, all of that, all of the above is true. Back in the day, you can, the police would even take a missing person's report until after 48 hours or something to that nature. But I never fell under those constraints, because if you report that your loved one is missing,
yeah,
we're gonna do our best to find out, what's going on, and we're gonna do it right now, real time,
right?
Because the time is the essence. And we have gotten folks that was reported missing or unaccounted for who left to go to work, and
Really?
they hadn't got to work, and we jumped on it, and everything they was found, or there was reason why they was late or what have you.
Sure.
So we never hesitated when you call us or tell us about you have someone that's unaccounted for. We don't take those things lightly, and I didn't do it. I haven't done it as a sheriff, and I didn't do it when I was a chief of police.
Right.
There is a lot of human trafficking out there. We're not immune to that. I've not seen any reports of it since I've been sheriff here, but we're always aware of suspicious things of that nature.
Sure.
And I tell you what, if I find any semblance of human trafficking, I'm going to be dead on it, and I have the necessary relationship with the federal authorities as well as the state authorities to ask for their assistance. Because this is going to be reaching out, I'm sure,
right?
Because they're coming from somewhere, going to somewhere.
That's right.
And so we're very aware of that, cognizant of that fact and everything. It is sad that people are doing that with human beings. Our most valuable asset is people.
Right.
And we make sure that we do our best to stay in the loop on those things.
So, I know there's, we had recently here in the county, obviously there was you'd put out an update specifically about the details about the attack that happened, or the dog attack, I guess, up in Burkeville.
Mm-hmm.
And what is so at this point, the dogs, seem to be managed at this point, or?
Well, at this point,
and I'm talking about those specific dogs. I ain't talking about all dogs.
Yeah, you're right, Jay. Thanks for bringing that up, because I think there's a lot of misconception about that. That is a vicious dog attack that we documented, and the owner has been cited appropriately. It is still an ongoing investigation.
Okay.
And she was sent she's been deemed a owner of vicious dogs.
Okay.
So on the state law, there's certain things that she must comply with under the health and safety code, and that information has been sent to her.
Okay.
We're doing daily checks to make sure that those dogs are inside a secure area.
Okay.
We have not received any calls about them being out.
Right.
And I've sent deputies by there, and we've taken pictures.
Sure.
Like I said, this is an ongoing investigation. Before, it seems like when you tell the public that there's an ongoing investigation, they have the full faith and trust that you're doing what you're supposed to. Well, we're doing that, and everything, but sometimes people believe that you should be doing more.
Sure.
What we're doing is we're doing what we're supposed to do in accordance with the law. We're not judge, and we're not jury, and we certainly are not punishers.
Right.
We only interpret the law as we see it and everything, and apply the charges as we see it,
Okay.
and forward it up to the DA's office for their disposition.
Good.
Now, again, that's just the way it is. That's on the vicious dogs. I do caution anyone, if you're going to own dogs or animals in overview, you need to take care of them. Period.
Sure.
No one is going to love your animals like you do. Okay.
Right.
Everyone is not don't like certain animals like they do. They could be very afraid of them, just the mere sight of them, and we need to be cognizant of that. We need to start thinking about how others feel, see things through other folks' lenses instead of being so divisive and saying, this is how I feel, this is my world. I understand that to a certain extent, but this is a big world that everybody live in, and you got to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, as you're responsible for your actions of your animals. And this lady, and I'm not gonna cut in short. She's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I hope that Miss Ingalls recover well. I spoke with her one time since the attack and everything. But we're doing our due diligence, and this is just not political PR stuff.
Right.
One of the things I was told a long time ago, and I became a cop, that I took the loss seriously. And I was like, that's what the psychiatrist said. You take it very seriously than most people coming to be cops. How else do you supposed to take it?
Right.
Yeah. I didn't answer because I didn't understand what he wanted me to say. Isn't that how you're supposed to be?
Right.
And I think that if people will do what they're supposed to do, everybody else's jobs will be a lot easier. It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
If someone's not working, doing what they're supposed to do, someone over here is going to catch the blunt of it.
Right. Do you feel like in the county, where would you kind of prioritize the need specific to animal control?
Okay, well, let me get back, and I have this in my my notes, things to say to Jay today. That actually does set up a animal control entity. Has to come from the county judge and the commissioner's court.
Okay.
So
that has to be totally spearheaded by them.
It has to be spearheaded funded by them, and set up because they're the ones who create positions or eliminate positions. And everything. It is not, my purview to set that kind of stuff up. Now, can I give my advice? I can always give my advice.
Right.
Am I going to give my advice? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But again, I've worked with the Humane Society in this case here. Actually, they paid to have the dogs. There's a disposition of the dogs, the 2 dogs that was taken over to Jasper. They did that. That helped us out and everything.
Sure.
But when it comes to citizens of Newton County, I'm going to do my very best to make sure they're protected.
Right.
Because I told them, take them over there, and if they can pay for it, fine. If not, let me send them to bill me.
Right.
Serious situation. And we've done what we're supposed to do, and I know the county has a lot of different projects and things, but in the meantime, if you have dogs, make sure that you do what you're supposed to do with them, because dogs, stray dogs will multiply.
Yeah.
And everything, and just becomes more stray dogs.
Yeah.
The rescues, I was one of the first people to step up and support Helpful Paws.
Right.
and everything. They work off of donations, and all the shelters and different entities I talk to, they don't have the space.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if Newton County ever have an animal shelter, we're gonna probably run out of space too.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying there's no reason for us not to try to have one
Right. Right. Right.
and everything. So I told a couple of commissioners and the judge-elect that my proposal was they'll be seeing it next year and everything. Obviously, this administration is too late to try to get anything done, and these kind of things doesn't happen overnight anyway.
Right. Right.
So I need a jail. I've been working on that ever since I've been here. So there's a lot of different things that the county needs.
Yeah.
It's best if you want to help us, be part of the solution and everything, and be someone who, and with action and understanding that these things just don't happen overnight.
Right. Right.
I spent 20 summers in the military, and when I got in the city government, I found out I thought the military was full of bureaucracy. City government is same, is full with bureaucracy, a lot of red tape, so to speak. Not being a wise ass saying that, but
Right.
there's a lot of different laws that you have to comply with, and a lot of it is a succession. You must do this before you can do that.
Right.
So that's why when you're dealing with government, city government, county government, a lot of times things don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with public funds. Public funds have a lot of different constraints on it, restrictions. You can't pay for certain things out of this pot of money. You have to pay for it out of this pot of money. And if you don't have enough in this pot of money,
Right.
what you need to pay for your debts or what you're trying to get, then you have to work on trying to find the funds to cover it.
Yeah, and then at the same time, you have to add in how many people are actually putting money into the overall fund, as a populace. Because if the population's small, or if the population is extremely poor, it starts with those constraints and it just goes from there.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of different. There's so many challenges that Newton County faces.
Sure.
And I work every day with the county as well as the city to do my best to make sure we do provide what the citizens need. Public safety is our product and everything, but again, we don't have the funds rarely available.
Sure.
To do a whole lot of great things.
Right. Right.
And everything. Until that happen, we just gonna have to try to explain to the public, and that's why I'm trying. That's why I'm here today. Explain that there is a succession. There's steps that we have to take. We're not sitting on our fat behinds, not doing the people's work.
Right.
Some of us are working ourselves in the ground to do the people's work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, those people who are in office or in these positions get criticized so greatly for it. It really is frustrating to them and everything. It turns a lot of folks off, and it certainly don't add to the motivation. So, again, if you don't know, ask the question and ask it to the right folks.
Yeah.
Don't assume, because in our business, when you assume, you're probably gonna make the wrong assumption.
Right.
And everything. The charges that we bring, it might look like a certain charge that you're seeing on TV, but in reality, you cannot charge that person with that because the elements of the offense is not met.
Right.
And no DA, is going to take a case that has holes in it,
Right.
and try.
Yeah.
You know, uh, that's why we do our very best to try to give the DA's office the best case we possibly can. And if you don't have the charge, you can't make it.
Right.
You know, the only thing you can do to investigate it, to get to the elements of those offenses. Another thing that I've seen that a lot of folks. I remember one day I was reading a criminal statute, and I started off, and I said, "Yep, I got it." But I read the whole thing. You got to read the whole section, and I got back down to the last paragraph, and it state that if you don't have this, then you don't have the title.
Wow.
And I'm like, dog, you know,
Yeah.
and after reading through the whole statute,
Sure.
I got to the very last paragraph. So don't just stop, you know, because a lot of folks criticize, oh, this is so and so. Well, that's what it says in the title, but you got to read all the elements of the offense.
Well, and plus you throw in, like you said, you throw in the TV element and the Google element. Everybody thinks this can be wrapped up in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can get this done before we have a commercial break.
Yeah, one of the things that I always, you know, I always look at TV, and they never write anything down. They go to a homicide and they never write anything down. You know.
Sure.
And I remember one time when I was on a homicide scene, not here, it was when I was a chief, and I was doing I was on scene to do the press release,
Right.
talk to the media, and I looked around, all the officers there had a pad writing,
Right.
you know, the investigators, the patrolmen, everyone.
Yeah.
Crime scene people, and so when you see Law and Order and they sitting up there and they making those wisecracks about, you know, go and get coffee or whatever, and that's just not real.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's a narrative. It's just a narrative that they
Yeah.
want to throw out there to the people.
Yeah, and another thing too, I've not been affiliated with officers, police officers, deputies, what have you, investigators, who didn't pride themselves on trying to find the truth.
Yeah.
And find the person responsible.
Yeah.
It takes time, folks.
Yeah.
It really does. And a lot of times that a lot of the young officers, they get turned off because the general public gives us such a hard time. And it's that's probably why we don't have the people coming in this profession now, because they get treated so bad and they get talked about so bad. I can tell you, I had a lady once. She was giving me the wherewithal about the case, and I looked at her. I said, "Ma'am, I'm here to help you, and I am not the person responsible." I mean, all her frustration was venting towards us.
Sure.
And I tell my deputies now all the time, used to say officers, but if I say officers, and I mean
Yeah.
deputies as well,
Sure.
peace officers, that you see folks at their very worst and everything, and a lot of times they will just show their aggression towards us because they've been wrong and everything, and we have to work through that. Now, as a professional, I'm able to do that,
Right.
you know. But the youngsters who's just coming aboard, they have to learn to do that, compartmentalize those different things. And people in my position are the ones who remind them what they have to go through.
Sure.
Because this is a hell of a job to do, and you have more criticism than praise, but we don't do the job for praise. We do the job to be effective, to give back to what was given to us when we was coming up. A nice place to work, live, and play.
Right.
You know, it's an intestinal fortitude, inside out.
Right.
If you in it for the wrong reason, you don't stay in it long, because you cannot endure what we have to go through.
Sure. And for the young people, it's almost like they have to develop that thick skin.
It does, to a certain extent. You do. And I have that, but as an older person, I'm able to understand and be more compassionate and show more compassion.
Yeah.
And everything. Before you see us, and when I was younger, which was a very, very long time ago, we were more robotic.
Sure.
And everything. But I feel those folks who've been victimized, who has lost a loved one, who had a loved one hurt. I feel with them. I feel them. I feel that.
Right.
And I'm able to connect with them and everything, and be sincere.
Right.
You know, because the last thing I can tell the general public, I'm not in this job for glory.
Right.
You know, I've had my glory and everything. I'm here to assist and help and everything. And I feel good helping others. That's my DNA.
Right.
And I'm going to continue to do that. And I try to get the folks involved. You know, I have a volunteer group, the Blue Line Advocates, and they're always taking on new folks to do different things. So right now they're out trying to provide gifts for kids who Christmas is not going to be too bright, and we're out doing that.
How does somebody go? Say you have a person out there or a business out there that wants to maybe throw some funds toward that and help out. What do they need to do? Just contact you guys here, or?
Yes, well, just contact us or and we'll put you with the right folks.
Okay.
Because they are a nonprofit organization where they can take donations and everything. We're asking the public to just do your part.
Yeah.
Do your part.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like in battle. I'm sure I'm gonna get criticized for using combat. Everybody have their field of fire that they must maintain, and if you can do that, your next buddy next to you, he's gonna do that. So on and so forth.
Right.
So you don't get overran.
Sure.
And when I asked about, like, week before last, we had problems with people letting the cattle get out, which is an ongoing problem.
Sure.
To date, we've had over 130 just livestock calls. Now, we had animal nuisance calls. We had probably about 247 up to now. That's what, and 6 of those calls was alligators. So we had dogs going over the folks'
dogs,
house
cats,
and everything.
gators. Yeah.
But you know, the thing with the animals, you know, you can protect yourself and your property.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else people want me to say. Yeah. But that's in state law.
So I know there was a mention to there not actually being a leash law.
Yeah, there's not a leash law in.
But that's not is there a state leash law?
There's not a leash law for Newton County.
Okay.
The city has one, but they're incorporated. See, the county cannot enact ordinances.
Okay.
Or incorporated city can. And for a leash law to be enacted, it must be on the ballot. The voters must vote that in.
Okay. For the county.
Yeah. And there is provisions on how to do that in the health and safety code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But as of right now, Newton proper has a leash law.
Yeah.
But not the county.
Right.
And that's kind of crazy because right over there, right around the corner where me and you live, it's like the road that you're on versus the road I'm on may be less than a mile, but I'm in the county versus I'm in the you in the city.
I'm not in the city. I'm in the county.
You're in the county as
I'm
well.
in the county too. Yeah, yeah.
And we're talking like a mile or two from Dairy Queen. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's how
Yeah, those lines kind of run
get
squiggly.
blurred.
Yeah, but yeah. But the thing is, if people get their dogs vetted like they're supposed to,
Sure.
and or keep them up,
Right.
and I'm talking about all animals, because I was going to tell you about the week before last, we was chasing cows. Had a wreck on 190 West. They chased cows that Saturday. Couldn't find them. They couldn't wrangle them, and they end up running in the road later on that night, and stuck causing a damage, a wreck,
Right.
and 2 wrecks. You
Wow.
know, and then so they got the 2 that was hit. Then there was another one kept running out in the wood. He would step out on the right of way. Then when we go up there, he would run back in the woods.
Right. Right.
He's a big cow, and I'm not a cow man. I can't tell breeds, but he was big.
Right.
He looked like a Burma. He was big like that.
Okay.
When he had horns on him. Look, and they was calling him a longhorn. Anyway, he ended up getting hit by a 18-wheeler truck and everything, and got injured.
What happens to an owner? What happens to an owner in that situation where you do have livestock get out? I mean, obviously nobody intends on their livestock because there's a lot of money being wrapped up in livestock. You're not intending on them getting out on the road. Right?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to get to it. We have not heard from an owner, but our bottom line is we don't want your animals. What we try to do, we being the sheriff's office, the stockman who they do an outstanding job. That we'll go out, send a deputy out there, and he's gonna see if we can get him back in.
Right.
And if he can, we do that.
Right.
If not, call help from the stockman. If it needs to, he can try to get him back in.
Yeah.
When in the interim, we're trying to contact the owner. If you own cows, cattle, horses, donkeys, sheep, or anything that you think may be close to the roadway, please call down here and leave your name and number because we have a livestock book.
Okay.
And the dispatcher worked feverishly to try to find those folks because we don't want your animals.
Right.
And if we cannot find someone or get them back, and they are considered a hazard on state highway,
Right.
then we'll pick them up. Okay. And now our cost for this program is if we have to send and I just got this changed in the commission court, if we have to send a wrangler out there, there's $65 per hour to go and pick up animals, which is to be charged to the stray owner. It used to be it's $25 per day per animal for boarding. It's charged to the stray owner. So when you come to get your stray animal, you're gonna have to pay the fee for how to go and pick him up, and how much per day. We have to advertise
Right.
that those animals are in our pens. $20 for a newspaper ad, and if they're not claimed
Right.
in the amount of time that they're supposed to be claimed, then they're taken to the sale barn,
Yeah.
and $195 is collected out of that fee, and also a $40 cognizance test. And the last thing is that, and this is if the stray must be caught, $100 may be charged to a stray owner because they have dogs out there and horses and things. So
Sure.
if you're talking about a big production out there that we're trying to do, to get those somebody's
livestock
back in.
Yeah.
When and I know animals get out, and that ain't what we're talking about. What we're talking about is being able to contact you and tell you your animals are out, and you can come out there and take the necessary measures to get them back in
Yeah.
and keep them in.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell us what else is going on. I know we're coming up to Christmas, and if people want to get involved on that end, we can definitely. They could contact you guys here at the sheriff's department, and help out in that way.
Yeah, we've like I said, we've trying to make Christmas bright for some of the kids that is not going to have a bright Christmas. If you want to donate to that, then you can do that through the Blue Line Advocates. Just contact 409-379-3636, and we'll put you in touch with the right folks. But the other thing is that you always need to think safety. Safety is a 24/7, 365 thing to do now.
Right.
With so many different knuckleheads out there trying to scam you, and scamming you is one of the biggest things that we see. They're scamming on the computer every day as we speak, and I cannot. I feel if it looks funny or it just don't look like it's right, it ain't. If you did not ask somebody for this or that, don't participate in it.
Yeah.
Because they are phishing you. They're phishing.
So going right along with what you're saying. Now, my wife and I are a part of a business. My wife handles a lot of AR and AP stuff, accounts payable, accounts receivable stuff for this business. Okay. This happened just this month. She got an email from an email account that looked like one of our vendors. She got a telephone call. Somehow or another, they found the vendor's number in our emails, called through that number. So when it showed up on my wife's phone, it showed up as the vendor, and they were pressing us to wire money to pay the vendor, right? Well, everything seemed legit. My wife comes down here to set up the wire and do everything, and didn't feel right about it. Goes back, calls the actual customer. They're like, no, we've never tried to communicate with you guys except through email, and you guys already have all our other information to make sure the payments get here. But that was going to be over a $50,000 transaction. And I'm going to tell you something, man. If she wouldn't have had that little check at the bank over here, we'd have wired that money away, and it would have went. Matter of fact, we actually got a notification from one of our it's not like McAfee or anything like that. It's not one of those, but QuickBooks. QuickBooks actually has a deal in there, and they will watch where that wire or where that money's going to. And if it looks like it's outside of your normal pay structure, they'll alert you and contact you. But that is a huge problem right now. Yeah. And they're overseas. There's no prosecution for that.
Yeah, you're right. I saw a charge on my American Express account the other day, and I used to get mad when my wife asked me, "Did you use this?" And I'm like, "Is she checking up on me?"
Sure.
You know, but I did not make that charge.
Sure.
You know, I have not used that card in months, and I called American Express and disputed it because I did not do it.
Yeah.
And they just like QuickBooks. They have a very good security program, and I'm not advocating for American Express, but I do have a little short story.
Right.
I remember when I was on going to the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia. I left Texas City and drove there, and so I had to cross a lot of states. Well, I used my American Express for the gas.
Okay.
And it's a 2-day drive. Well, about that second day, I was just getting in North Carolina, and my wife called me And she said, you need to call American Express right now because they're getting ready to cancel your card. I'm like, what do you mean? She said, you were making charges in all these different states, and that's not your charge
Sure.
history.
Yeah.
And so I called them, and they authorized it. So I felt good
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So they will do that.
Yeah, you've got to watch, man, because I mean they're getting sneaky. And when we actually went back and looked at the email that was sent to us, it was 1 digit difference, 1 digit difference in the email in comparison to the actual vendor's email. And so, and somehow or another, they hijacked his phone number and was able to give us a call. So these guys are getting creative.
Oh yeah, because a lot of times our information is sold off by these various people that we do business with. I don't know if Amazon sell their listing, but I know a lot of other folks does.
It's crazy.
And they do. And when people come to us, when they've been scammed, we do our very best to try to get those folks on the phone.
Yeah.
And we tell them some things.
Yeah.
And if I have to, I will notify the FBI.
Right.
According to what it is, when it goes to the scamming, because I'm tired of it. And they prey on our elderly folks.
Absolutely.
They really do. They prey on our elderly folks. They had this scam going about sending money to bond somebody out. And I went online and put it in the paper, we don't operate that way.
Right.
I don't know no jail gonna call you and say, call anyone and say you need to come bond so and so on out. You stay there, let them stay there behind in there. We don't care.
Right.
That's not the process. We're prohibited. I can't even recommend a bondsman to a inmate.
Okay.
I'm prohibited from doing that.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you that's not right. That's a scam. And everything. Tell them that, tell them that you're not going to fall for that.
Yeah.
And that if they keep on calling, you're going to report them to the police.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best method. But man, you really got to keep your head on a swivel to realize how sneaky and how dialed in they are. Because I mean, if they get one transaction, if they get 2 transactions a week, I mean, on some of the transactions I'm sitting here going, good Lord, man.
Yeah, and another thing too, with you using your bank card now, I guess they've sort of increased from debit cards to bank cards, and I use mine all the time. And make sure that I don't have to put a code in on mine.
Yeah. But
some places they ask for a code, and if you're using your code and everything, be very mindful of that and everything, because it's easy to get scammed that way for somebody, watching your PIN.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is there anything that you want to leave the people with? Just kind of give them a heads up on or anything?
Yeah, leave the people with I hope they have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're gonna be our heads on the swivel for the holidays. Drive safely. If you drink, don't drive. Designated driver works. It works fabulously and everything. And it has gotten to the point that we are a very smart society.
Sure.
And one of the things about risk management in our business, if you can predict it, you can prevent it.
Yeah.
So if you know that if you do certain things, this will happen, don't do it.
Sure.
Don't do it. Wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
I'm amazed to find out some of the accidents. The folks wasn't wearing a seatbelt and they got ejected. If you're not wearing a seatbelt and you have an accident, chances are you're gonna get ejected.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen. I've seen it in the slow motion where a car almost turned over and it did not. And when it came back on its all four, the reaction of it jerked the driver out of the driver's side window. Jerked her right out. And she came with such force, she went up and came down.
Yeah.
And it's a wonder that she wasn't killed.
Sure.
And I saw this on camera. So, and it was not she got T-bone. She got T-bone. The car went up, but it righted itself back down, and it slung her out.
Wow.
Yeah. So that seatbelt, I don't go anywhere without a seatbelt. I wear it on and if you're on heavy equipment, wear your seatbelt. Wear your seatbelt.
Yeah.
And also just be mindful where you're at during the holidays and everything, because a lot of times you're not the one who's the bad driver, somebody else.
Sure.
Be mindful of that.
The distracted driving and everything.
Yes, we get a lot of calls of reckless drivers. People drive because we're in the country per se. People drive fast on on those highways.
Sure.
And everything, and that ain't always good.
Yeah, there's no sense in turning a time of celebration and the end of the year into a moment of tragedy.
And there's so many, like I say, I just talked about the loose livestock. There's deer running around out there. I had one of my guys hit 2 in 1 month.
Wow.
The night, especially at night. Be very mindful driving at night on these highways. And when you're shopping, again, always make sure that you got your wits about yourself and don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going out to these malls, because they got predators who they're just waiting for the holidays.
Yeah.
You know, they make a lot of money that way, and they victimize others during that time.
Yeah.
And you know, we're serving the public, man. We're doing our very best with the resources we have available, and I think we're doing a pretty good job and everything. We have received a lot of support over the years and everything, and we look forward to that to keep continuing. And we can always do better. That's all of us, you know.
Right.
And if you have a problem, call us. Don't sit there and just talk about it and say, I ain't going to call.
Sure.
And everything. And then run us down the road on saying how bad we are.
Yeah.
Because it's just not the case. You know, we always operate within the law. And some of the times what we do and what we don't do is because of law, state law and everything. And we're here to enforce it, not make it.
Right. Well, Sheriff Burby, I appreciate you taking time with us just to sit down and kind of talk about what all's going on, talk about what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to...
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
We got horse camp set up.
Oh, yeah.
For June, and the dates will be published real soon. We got 2 sessions in June, and we're looking forward to doing that. We have had great successes.
Yeah.
With horse camp.
Awesome.
And we're looking forward to making the coming year event even better.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool. So 2 sessions this next go around.
Yeah.
That's gonna be good, man.
Oh yeah. We're still talking about it, man. So. And not only that, the kids. I've ran into kids who say, "Oh, I met you at the horse camp."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Not on the Payroll right here at notonthepayroll.com. You can check us out at Facebook, check us out at YouTube, and check us out at Rumble. If you want to get involved for the kids that may or may not have a Christmas this year, you can contact the Newton Sheriff's Department, and you can talk to them about how you can get involved financially or even in other ways. So anyway, Sheriff, once again, we appreciate you taking time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.